Bigfoot astrally. Have you ever tried astraling to a Bigfoot hotspot?
No. No, I have not. And, I don't know why I haven't. Because, he's in my backyard. I just have to go up the hill. So,
Right.
He isn't, Megan, not anymore. He got your game camera already. He's gone.
So, yeah. So, I'm, not technically my backyard. Outside of my backyard. Above my backyard. He's up there. I know it. But, yeah, I have never thought about going astrally, but what's interesting is sometimes when I'm watching a documentary, I almost have the sensation that I'm being pulled to that location, but I realize don't go into the TV, hello, ground shield. And I do that with other documentaries too. And I really have to pay attention when I'm watching like alien documentaries because I have that sensation that I want to go. And, because that's my curiosity. And I guess there's a handful of team members that have a natural curiosity, and I don't know if they have the same sensation because it's not openly discussed. But, yeah, I could read an article or see a photo, and without even trying to go there, I'm almost going there, out of sheer curiosity.
And, that came up on Space Art Radio last night. I've been on SOAR for about 3 years on and off as a guest, as a fill-in. And we get asked quite often, well, how come you guys don't astral HARP? Or how come you don't astral the dark side of the moon? Or it all comes down to me, to safety. Some places you don't want to even go astrally, or you don't want a remote view because you don't know what's going to pick up on you. You don't know what's going to follow you back home. Some of those risks you mitigate those risks by not doing them. We have enough work working on, personal cases daily that we don't need to. We honestly actually don't have time to go look at HARP or look at the dark side of the moon or some of the other places that people want us to spy out for them. And, safety and protocols, I keep on saying that, but they're important. They're important with what we do. They're important in keeping the team safe, and that's the key element to what keeps this team a family and what keeps this team going strong. So go into, how does a case start for you?
Okay, for me, after the client submits their pre-investigation form, usually we will either be assigned individually or as a team to the case. And what I personally like to do, I either call it a case test or a pre-read, and that is almost more of a remote view, and I rely on my guides strongly for that. It's just a semi-meditative state, and I get a feel for the client upon initial contact. If the client has a personal photo or something, I will focus on that. The address location, I will focus on that. But I can get a lot out of that pre-read. I can determine if it's going to be a case that I will need extra shielding, or maybe I need some backup if I'm assigned individually. There was one case recently where I did a pre-read, and before the client even started going into detail, I already knew that I needed some backup because it was something I'd never dealt with before, and I wasn't sure if it was demonic or not. And, that that case was very interesting. But for me to do my little pre-read, I, bolstered my shield and really prepared to go in. I knew exactly what she was experiencing. She didn't really have to explain it. And when she did finally explain, it was several days later. Now, if I would have waited those several days for her to fully explain the circumstances, that could have gotten us into trouble. So I'm happy I do this pre-read before astral. And why I'm saying it's a pre-read is because it's a remote view where I can get a feeling and a sensation and a larger view. I don't need full disclosure from the client, even though I'd appreciate it. And then I can go fully astral to where I could interact and manipulate and, combat these energies if need be. So, there's a huge difference to me between my pre-read and the actual astral. And then once astral is complete, then, extended care process comes in and helps coaches the client with, personal protection and protective measures. And then if there's a secondary astral that's needed, then we will follow up again. But as long as the client obeys protocol and is diligent in the extended care process and personal protection, usually we don't have to go back in for an astral follow-up.
Exactly. That's the key is, we're not the experts. We're not the tell-all. But we go by years of experience. And if you don't listen to the protocols we tell you that you need to do to keep these things away, we will give you a second chance. And after that, we have so many cases that we do have a cutoff point.
Yeah.
So if you go into a location and there's nothing there, what's our next step?
Oh man. It is so weird when you do go to a location and nothing's there. I like to confer with the client a little bit more. Sometimes it is a person that is being deceitful. There are people out there that like to try to say they have paranormal issues, and they really don't. Sometimes it is psychological. We do have a psychiatrist on the team. Therapist, not psychiatrist. Therapist on the team. So she is always available to confer on cases for us. However, it is really, really interesting when we go and there's nothing there. I like to really take my time and search and see if there is a possibility. Sometimes there's a buzzing vibration in the wall.
Message for Chris.
Sometimes it's EMF related. EMF itself in a physical location, if you have bad wiring, EMF can be through the roof, and it can cause a lot of symptoms that would be comparable to a legit haunting. So if there's nothing there, I would suggest, either having the person evaluated mentally, physically, because there are certain health problems. There's brain tumors, there's low blood sugar that can replicate symptoms of haunting. Other things too. I mean, nerve disorders as well as brain tumors. Fatigue. You can see a lot of stuff when you suffer from fatigue. So, health disorders, and then again, the physical reasons. Do you have high EMF and bad wiring in your house or apartment? So those would be the three things.
I'm going to add one thing to that. Fae. Fae there are some types, or there are some, I guess, occurrences where astral have not picked up on Fae. And that really only happened, to my knowledge, let's see, one time. And that's where we went boots on ground. And because we just happened to be close enough, it wasn't that close. It was, we had to take a ferry. But the boat kind, that is. But we actually went boots on ground on that case, and there were fae involved, and we had 3 different astral that did not. They knew something was there, don't get me wrong, but they couldn't pick up on what exactly it was till we got on site. So I think fae are the only time that there has been an incident there that astral could not pick up on. Why? I'm not sure, because other times with fae involvement, astral has been fine. So I'm thinking here, if there was a way we could figure out, because generally speaking, it is either going to be psychiatric, medical, or like you said, wiring issues, or other environmental aspects that can keep astral from seeing anything there. Getting back to astral school, you haven't taken the combat course yet, I don't believe, have you?
No. No, I have
think,
not. I've just taken the initial.
And we'll get you into the astral school, but honestly, being military, I think, is an added bonus that you already know the combat side just from being Marines.
Yeah, and Richard did share a link to a Taekwondo site, a video, kind of, I guess it was a video channel on YouTube, and it was, he shared it with the group, the class that I took back in September, and basically I kind of watched the first video and I was like, oh, yeah, I know all that. So, if it was somebody who didn't know, or somebody who had, just a light understanding of that, to watch the process, because it was a very well done video. So Richard did share that, but really there wasn't much that I could learn from it. Yes, I could probably use a refresher course hands-on, but I studied that for years. We had monthly training on it, so yeah, you're correct.
And I think we have Brent in now.
Oh, do we?
Brent?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Welcome.
All right, so we have 30 minutes left of the show, and it was a chore getting Brent in. But so, Brent, you took the astral course last year, or has it been 2 years now?
2 years now, yes.
So, what was the most eye-opening thing you learned in school?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is one of my exercises that I had with Richard was we had to I think this was during the past life exercise where you had to try to kind of, I think it was, where you tried to find out about anything about a past life that you've had. And best I can say is I started to leave my body, do the exercises, however you want to put it. And I was all of a sudden kind of hovering over this werewolf. And I just kind of looked down at him because I'm hovering, like I said, and he looked up at me and just kind of like, we were both kind of like, what the heck you doing here? And I'm just kind of like looking down at him like, what are you doing here? And just, yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty intense.
And that's the perfect example of, some of the paranormal issues we deal with, they don't expect living humans to show up.
Yeah.
by any means. Um,